I didn't graduate college until 26. At 23, I was still in school and slacking off, and my dad was paying for everything. I went slow through college and was frequently depressed and unmotivated. I had very few friends and escaped reality by playing video games and drawing. My dad went unexpectedly broke and left the country to work overseas. His possessions were all gone, and I had 2 weeks to find a job and pay rent. I got a job as a web developer for a very small salary because I had to drop out of college and had no experience. I didn't drop out properly and failed many classes, so I thought I had screwed the college road up permanently. I learned the value of money and work, and times were very difficult. I eventually found out about a grade forgiveness program, and when I went back to school at 24, I turned those F's into A's because I changed my attitude. I also started making the small game project of my own just for learning. I graduated at 26 and felt a sudden urge to leave my hometown behind and start a new life. I always had aspirations to go to California and work for a big game company, but up until then, it felt like a pipe dream. Well, when I had my diploma in hand, I packed up everything that I could into my tiny car and gave my furniture away. I drove to Los Angeles and stayed in the cheapest motel I could find. I didn't have much money and time was short. I applied to every game company I could and tried to show employers my game project so I wouldn't get tossed aside for lacking experience. I got plenty of second interviews and thought I finally had it in the bag, but was turned down last minute. After 2 months, I was about broke, but I didn't give up. I decided I'd rather be homeless pursuing the life I wanted than comfortable in a life I didn't want. I bought 2 books on how to interview better and read them cover to cover while working on my game. I used that knowledge to really seal the next interview, and I showed this next company my game project. They loved it. I got the job and found myself working for Disney as a game programmer. Many moments I thought I wouldn't and couldn't make it. There were many times I felt like a useless piece of shit. I had to look at myself critically and work hard to change my circumstances. Somehow I did it. If I can, I'm sure plenty of others can. About 8 years ago, I was a raging alcoholic, living alone in a trailer with basically no food other than alcohol and the occasional loaf of bread that I'd bake, cheap. I had been in a cycle of depression for many years prior. I had DUIs, had no license, no job. I sold weed to get by, and even that was drying up quickly. I met someone. She, for whatever reason, fell for me. I wasn't looking for anyone. I'd been burned hard already, and that started that depression cycle, but I digress. But we ended up together. She moved in. She was working. I still wasn't. I began writing, a lot. Got a few published articles, nothing major, but it wasn't going anywhere. I decided to try my hand at programming and web development. Again, it had been a few years, but it was an old hobby of mine. Built a nice reservation system and tried selling it to a few businesses, but nothing came of it. This went on for almost 2 years. One day, their girlfriend and I got into an argument about me not working. But it wasn't easy. In an angry huff, I went to Craigslist of all places and responded to someone looking for an in-house web developer. It was a 2-sentence, no information blurb. I thought, this won't go anywhere, but at least I can say I'm trying. I was asked to interview the following day. I went, and it was for a small ad agency about an hour away. I took an IQ test, did the interview, and was hired on the spot. Can you start Monday? And that's where I've been since. Happily. And the agency here loves me too. I'm the best developer they've ever had. Pay is great. Raises are consistent each year. When I started, I didn't even know the language they were building in. I had to learn. But I knew I could. Since then, I married that girlfriend, bought a house near the office I work at, and now have a 3-year-old son. It's a totally different life. It wasn't long ago. If I could take my 30-pack a day beer habit at rock bottom and come out of it, anyone can. 5 years ago, I got rejected from every grad school I applied to. I got dumped, and the girl quickly got engaged afterward. I got rejected from every job I applied to, so I started freelance writing. I made about $12,000 that year. I'm writing this while sitting next to my wife and our pets, inside the house we own. I have a master's degree. My business alone brought in $115,000 last year. It wasn't a turnaround so much as all those shitty things were just failures on the road to success. Keep moving forward, keep improving yourself, keep taking risks. Life gets better. At 19, I was trying and failing community college. Always struggled with school. Not the concepts, but the system itself. I was bright but had zero motivation. Socially, I was a bit of a man's man/funny guy mashup in high school. So, I'm a decent looking guy and had a GF my senior year of high school. After summer, she went to college a few hours away and I stayed home because I was academically unmotivated. I got a job pushing carts at a grocery store in high school and was currently paying for my gas to get to work/school while barely affording tuition at our local community college. That was all my money paid for, folks. You can imagine what happened next. My beautiful GF was in a distant college as a freshman. I was ignorantly thinking we'd make it work and get married and life would just happen for me. She told me she wanted to end things because the distance was going to be too hard. The nice letdown, I was adamant I could make it work. She then gave me the toughest pill I've ever swallowed. Listen, you aren't going to college, not real college. You're not making any money. You're living with your parents. I don't want to be the cart boy's girlfriend. I'm breaking up with you. I literally wept hard. Full-on sissy modes, like Alice in Wonderland, filling up the room with tears. She slaughtered me. It was tough for a couple months, took it day by day. I'm not talking about the breakup though. The toughest part was seeing such a brutally honest reflection of myself for the first time. How invaluable I was to someone I thought I was so close to. I then learned about people making money in construction without a college degree. Hands-on stuff. I thought, great, sign me up. So I dug into it and decided to start a 9-month welding program in the Midwest. I moved away on a loan and started school. I had nobody around that I knew, no connections, and no familiarity to the area. I was right where I needed to be. I focused harder than I ever had in my life, fueled by the bitter memory of my GF and her brutal evaluation of my life. I had purpose. I was required to go to class for 5 hours, 5 days a week, with one Saturday optional each month. I went 10 hours each day and every damn Saturday. I was excelling, and it was because of my newfound purpose. I graduated top of my class and could weld anything you threw at me. I moved home and literally had a job locked down within the first few days. My overtraining didn't just help my skill, more importantly, it solidified my confidence. For 6 years, I worked and climbed to the top of the company. The entire time that I was working, I was doing lots of out-of-town work. I had way too much time on my hands in the hotel rooms during the week. I wasn't big on drinking, and watching TV got old. That's when everything came full circle and I discovered, of all things, my love for learning. The same thing I detested most of my life. I crammed so much knowledge into my brain over those years it was ridiculous. First, it was random cool information. Then I was interested in knowledge with application, particularly financial and business. So I started the long road where I am now. I managed to buy a home at the age of 20 and broke 6 figures in my 401k by the time I was 24 years old. I have been on many vacations and enjoyed many good times with friends. By 26, I am newly running my own business and have a rental home as well as a home to live in. My assets are well diversified and plentiful. My 401k is fully funded as is, with no more contribution needed. And if you're aware of our /financial independence, I'm on my way to retire early. So I would say, without a brutal torn down look at myself, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Oh, and of course, getting so bored that I learned to love learning was a huge plus. Every time I've grinded my hardest to achieve a goal, my life hurtled the farthest in a positive direction. That much I know for sure.